Eckhart Tolle begins by sharing his experience with a profound inner transformation that changed his perception of life. He describes a time when he was deeply troubled by constant anxiety and depression, leading to thoughts of despair. This personal struggle culminated in a life-altering realization that transformed his consciousness and allowed him to see reality through a lens of deep peace, disconnected from the ego-driven, fear-based mind. This experience, he explains, wasn't an intellectual achievement but rather surrender into a state of deep stillness, beyond thought. Tolle clarifies that his intention with the power of now is not to present a new belief system or philosophy but rather to point readers toward their own experiences of the now. His aim is to encourage readers to transcend the dominance of their minds and cultivate a direct, sustained awareness of the present. Purpose of the book. Tolle invites readers to let go of their usual reliance on thought and instead to feel into the present moment, where true peace and fulfillment reside. He believes that living in the now is the gateway to enlightenment, a concept he acknowledges may sound abstract or unachievable but one he believes is accessible to everyone. The now, he explains, is not bound by the concerns of past and future, which are the sources of most human suffering. The role of consciousness. In the introduction, Tolle addresses the misconception that our identity is tied to our thinking minds. He suggests that consciousness exists independently of thoughts and can be experienced when one stops identifying with the endless stream of mental chatter. Tolle describes the potential for readers to step back from their minds and observe their thoughts without judgment, allowing them to access deeper awareness. Suggested approach for reading the book. Tolle encourages readers to engage with the book slowly, allowing its concepts to resonate deeply rather than intellectually. The language in The Power of Now is meant to be experienced rather than merely understood. He advises readers to approach it as a meditative practice, pausing as necessary to reflect or practice the principles in real time. Chapter 1. In the first chapter of The Power of Now, titled, "You Are Not Your Mind," Eckhart Tolle explains that a fundamental shift in consciousness requires detaching from our identification with the mind. He argues that most people mistakenly believe they are their thoughts, seeing themselves as the sum of their beliefs, memories, and interpretations. However, Tolle insists that this identification with the mind is the primary source of suffering. Key points from Chapter 1. 1. The voice in your head. Tolle describes how everyone has a constant internal dialogue, a voice in the head, that critiques, analyzes, and projects fears and anxieties, often without our conscious awareness. This internal chatter keeps us preoccupied with past regrets or future anxieties, making it difficult to live in the present moment. 2. Freedom through observation. One of the first steps to breaking free from the mind is to learn to observe these thoughts without identifying with them. Tolle suggests that by cultivating the witnessing presence, you can start to see thoughts as separate from your true self. This detachment from thought begins the process of enlightenment, allowing you to break the cycle of incessant thinking and ego-driven behaviors. 3. Emotions and the mind-body connection. Emotions, Tolle explains, are the body's response to thoughts. When we hold on to negative or limiting beliefs, they trigger emotions that manifest physically as stress, anxiety, or tension. Observing both thoughts and the emotions that accompany them can help us understand the deep connection between the mind and body, which is essential for breaking free from negative thought cycles. 4. Breaking identification with the ego. The mind is closely tied to the ego, which feeds off feelings of separation, superiority, or inferiority. The ego thrives by defining itself through comparison and judgment, leading to cycles of attachment and aversion. According to Tolle, by seeing the ego for what it is, just another mental construct, you can begin to weaken its hold and experience a deeper state of peace. 5. Living beyond the mind. Tolle emphasizes that our true self is a state of pure consciousness, or being, which can only be experienced in the present moment. He proposes that by becoming aware of the present and fully inhabiting it, we can live with greater clarity and inner peace, unburdened by the past or future. Chapter 2. In Chapter 2 of The Power of Now, titled Consciousness, The Way Out of Pain, Eckhart Tolle explores how human suffering arises from a resistance to the present moment and how we can begin to free ourselves from this pain by becoming more conscious. Tolle explains that pain, both physical and emotional, results from an accumulation of past hurts and anxieties about the future, all of which keep us trapped in a state of suffering. However, he insists that liberation from this pain is possible through conscious presence. Key points from Chapter 2. 1. Understanding the pain body. Tolle introduces the concept of the pain body, which he describes as an accumulation of old emotional pain that lives in each person. This pain body is a semi-autonomous entity within us, almost like an emotional parasite, that thrives on negative emotions, unresolved past traumas, and suffering. Tolle explains that the pain body can take over a person, leading to impulsive reactions, irrational thoughts, or even conflict with others. Becoming aware of the pain body is the first step toward freeing oneself from its control. 2. Creating no more pain in the present. Tolle emphasizes that most people create additional pain for themselves by resisting what is happening in the present. This resistance arises from habitual thoughts that judge and criticize the current moment. To reduce suffering, he encourages readers to accept each moment as it is without labeling it as good or bad. This simple act of acceptance, he claims, is transformative, as it allows us to engage fully with life without projecting past pains or future anxieties onto it. 3. Dissolving the pain body. To dissolve the pain body, Tolle advises that we must first become aware of it. When we observe the pain body within ourselves without identifying with it, we diminish its power. By becoming conscious of our inner pain without letting it control our actions, we can slowly break free from its influence. This requires presence and non-judgmental observation, allowing us to feel emotions without becoming them. 4. Breaking the cycle of egoic mind patterns. Tolle explains that the ego, or the conditioned mind, perpetuates the pain body by keeping us attached to past grievances or worrying about future scenarios. This cycle creates a sense of identity out of suffering. By observing these egoic mind patterns, we can gradually stop the mind from using past or future pain as part of our self-definition. Tolle encourages readers to focus on the now, where these habitual thoughts lose their relevance. 5. Freedom from unhappiness. According to Tolle, the end of suffering begins with the realization that our unhappiness is created by our thoughts and emotional responses, not by external circumstances. By being present, we can move away from mental stories that create suffering. Chapter 3. In Chapter 3, titled Moving Deeply into the Now, Eckhart Tolle builds on the previous chapters by guiding readers deeper into the practice of being present. He explains that true peace and fulfillment can only be found in the now, as the mind is constantly seeking fulfillment in the past or future, which leads to suffering. Tolle presents the present moment as the only true reality, and he teaches readers how to enter it more fully. Key points from Chapter 3. 1. Beyond past and future. Tolle explains that our minds are perpetually caught in time, either dwelling on past experiences or projecting into the future. He argues that both are illusions because they do not exist in the now. By continuously focusing on these illusory timelines, we miss the richness and potential of the present. The practice of focusing on the now is an invitation to transcend time and discover a state of peace. 2. Finding the space of now. The chapter emphasizes shifting our attention to the present moment by quieting the mind and consciously observing whatever is happening now. By stepping back and watching our thoughts rather than engaging with them, we can enter a state of pure awareness. Tolle recommends focusing on the sensation of being alive or observing one's breathing as simple methods to bring attention back to the now. 3. Accessing a spiritual dimension. Tolle suggests that when we live in the now, we access a spiritual dimension where fear and worry cannot exist. In this state, we are connected to our deeper selves and experience a sense of wholeness. This spiritual dimension transcends ordinary perception and offers a path to inner peace. 4. The problem with seeking fulfillment. The search for happiness outside of the present moment, Tolle explains, is the root of dissatisfaction. By focusing on the present moment and fully inhabiting it, we stop seeking fulfillment from external sources, which is ultimately temporary and unreliable. True fulfillment, he argues, can only be found when we surrender fully to the now. Chapter 4. In Chapter 4, titled Mind Strategies for Avoiding the Now, Tolle describes how the mind actively resists staying in the present moment. He outlines common mind strategies that keep us from experiencing true presence and teaches readers how to recognize and overcome these traps. Key points from Chapter 4. 1. The core delusion of the mind. Tolle argues that the mind creates a core delusion by viewing itself as separate from the present moment. It is constantly seeking either the future or the past as a means of identity, which prevents true happiness. This delusion causes inner conflict because the mind rejects the reality of the present in favor of its own projections and memories. 2. Ordinary unconsciousness versus deep unconsciousness. Tolle distinguishes between ordinary unconsciousness, the mild and typical background state of anxiety or dissatisfaction, and deep unconsciousness, an intense reaction to life events that triggers anger, fear, or other strong emotions. He emphasizes that both are rooted in a disconnection from the now and can be resolved by cultivating presence. 3. Mind strategies to avoid presence. The mind uses various tactics to keep us from fully inhabiting the now, such as compulsive thinking, judging, and identifying with external achievements. Tolle describes these tactics as strategies to avoid the discomfort of stillness and presence. By recognizing these strategies, we can start to see the mind's resistance and practice being present instead. 4. Practices for staying present. Tolle advises readers to cultivate awareness of their internal state and physical sensations as a way to stay present. By noticing when the mind starts to drift, we can choose to bring attention back to the present moment. He suggests mindful breathing, observing sensations, or simply pausing to be aware of one's surroundings as ways to anchor ourselves in the now. Chapter 5. In Chapter 5, titled The State of Presence, Tolle explores the nature of presence itself and explains how achieving this state brings a sense of peace and freedom. He emphasizes that presence is not something we achieve by doing but rather by being. Tolle introduces the concept of surrender, which involves accepting each moment as it is without resistance or judgment. Key points from Chapter 5. 1. What presence means. Presence, Tolle explains, is a state of heightened awareness where we are completely focused on the now, free from the distractions of thoughts, worries, or fears. In this state, we experience life more fully, engaging with reality without needing to interpret or control it. 2. Presence as the power of now. Presence, or the power of now, is transformative because it dissolves the ego's control over our lives. When we are fully present, we stop relying on the mind as our source of identity. Instead, we become connected with a deeper part of ourselves, which is beyond thoughts and emotions. 3. The meaning of surrender. Surrendering to the now, Tolle explains, does not mean passive acceptance of negative situations, but rather an openness to the present moment, whatever it holds. This surrender involves letting go of resistance, which reduces suffering and opens up new possibilities. By surrendering, we let go of the need to control outcomes and accept the now as it is. 4. Allowing presence to become your way of life. Tolle encourages readers to let presence become a constant part of their lives rather than a temporary practice. By making a habit of presence, we can overcome the mind's natural tendency to resist and judge, leading to lasting peace. He describes this state as one of inner alignment, where we are connected with our true selves and experience life fully and freely. Chapter 6. In Chapter 6, titled The Inner Body, Eckhart Tolle explains that one of the most powerful ways to anchor oneself in the now is through awareness of the inner body. By focusing on the energy within the physical body, we can deepen our presence, quiet the mind, and connect to a higher state of consciousness. Key points from Chapter 6. 1. The inner body as a gateway to presence. Tolle describes the inner body as the vital energy that animates us and exists beyond the physical. He encourages readers to shift their awareness inward, focusing on the sensations within the body, which can help still the mind and bring a sense of calm. This awareness of the inner body is a direct way to access the now, where thought-based concerns lose their grip. 2. Connecting to the energy field. Tolle suggests practicing inner body awareness by feeling the subtle energy field within the hands, feet, and other parts of the body. By doing so, we can develop a stronger sense of presence that remains with us even when the mind tries to wander. This practice can be done throughout the day, helping to center us in the now and reduce stress. 3. Strengthening the connection with inner body awareness. By regularly practicing inner body awareness, Tolle explains, we deepen our sense of presence and reduce the dominance of the mind. This ongoing connection to the body not only anchors us in the now but also enhances our connection to life and our intuition. Tolle encourages readers to inhabit the body fully as a way to experience life more deeply and in alignment with true being. 4. Inner body awareness and health. Tolle notes that maintaining awareness of the inner body can promote physical health by reducing stress and anxiety, which often manifest in physical ailments. When we are present, the body's natural energy flow improves, promoting healing and well-being. 5. The inner body and spiritual growth. Tolle suggests that inner body awareness can also be a path to spiritual growth, as it opens us to the experience of being beyond ego. By staying connected to the energy within, we transcend thought patterns and live in a state of alert presence. This connection serves as a bridge between the physical and spiritual, helping us experience the oneness of existence. Chapter 7. In Chapter 7, titled Portals into the Unmanifested, Tolle explores how we can access a dimension of pure consciousness, or the unmanifested, by going beyond the physical world and egoic mind. He explains that the unmanifested is the source of all existence and can be accessed through certain portals available in the present moment. Key points from Chapter 7. 1. The concept of the unmanifested. Tolle describes the unmanifested as the timeless, formless source of all creation. Unlike the manifest world, which we perceive through the senses, the unmanifested is pure being, beyond form and time. He explains that this dimension is present in everyone as a silent presence that we can access by quieting the mind and tuning into stillness. 2. Silence and stillness as portals. Silence and stillness are among the primary portals to the unmanifested. By becoming comfortable with silence and cultivating inner stillness, we can experience moments of connection with the unmanifested, where we feel peace and freedom from the mind. Tolle explains that this practice of entering silence and stillness can deepen our sense of inner peace and presence. 3. Becoming aware of the gap between thoughts. Another portal to the unmanifested, Tolle notes, is the gap between thoughts. When we observe our thoughts, there is a slight pause between them. This gap is a doorway into the unmanifested, allowing us to experience consciousness without the interference of mental chatter. By focusing on these gaps, we begin to experience brief moments of peace and spacious awareness. 4. Letting go of resistance. Tolle emphasizes that resistance to the present moment keeps us from accessing the unmanifested. By surrendering and accepting the now as it is, without judgment or attachment, we move closer to this dimension of pure being. Letting go of resistance, in this sense, means not reacting to life situations out of habit but instead accepting each moment fully. 5. Using death as a portal. Tolle speaks about the contemplation of death as a portal to the unmanifested, explaining that accepting mortality helps us release attachments to form. This acceptance frees us from identification with the physical world and ego, opening us to the timeless presence of the unmanifested. Through this portal, we can find a deeper appreciation for life and a sense of inner peace. 6. Dreamless sleep and unconscious states. Tolle briefly mentions that dreamless sleep and moments of unconsciousness also connect us with the unmanifested, as in these states, the mind is entirely quiet. However, he clarifies that while these moments are opportunities to access the unmanifested, it is ultimately through conscious stillness and presence that we can establish a lasting connection with this state of pure awareness. Chapter 8. In Chapter 8, titled Enlightened Relationships, Eckhart Tolle explores how we can approach relationships from a state of presence rather than from ego, which often leads to conflict and dissatisfaction. He explains that many relationships are built on egoic needs, where each partner seeks fulfillment from the other, which can lead to cycles of dependence, conflict, and resentment. Tolle presents a new approach to relationships based on conscious awareness and inner fulfillment. Key points from Chapter 8. 1. The trap of egoic relationships. Tolle describes how traditional relationships are often based on the ego's need for validation, control, and security. The ego creates a wanting energy that turns relationships into an attempt to complete oneself through another person. This mindset causes tension and emotional dependency, where partners may oscillate between love and conflict, never truly finding peace. 2. The pain body in relationships. Tolle explains that when two people enter a relationship with unresolved pain bodies, emotional pain from past experiences, these pain bodies can react to each other, creating conflict. By becoming aware of one's pain body and learning to observe it, partners can avoid allowing this emotional pain to drive their interactions. 3. Transforming relationships through presence. True connection, Tolle argues, comes from being fully present in a relationship. When both partners are grounded in the now, they don't seek fulfillment from each other, but rather bring awareness and compassion into the relationship. This allows them to experience love as a state of being rather than as a need or dependency. 4. The role of space in relationships. Tolle introduces the concept of space in relationships. This space is an inner openness, a conscious gap where neither partner projects their needs onto the other. It allows each person to be fully themselves without needing to fulfill egoic demands. Such space creates a foundation for a more enlightened and loving connection. 5. Relationships as a spiritual practice. Tolle views relationships as opportunities for spiritual growth. By using challenges within relationships as a practice of presence, each partner can grow beyond egoic limitations and find true inner peace. Relationships become a path to self-realization, where love is rooted in acceptance, freedom, and presence. Chapter 9. In Chapter 9, titled Beyond Happiness and Unhappiness Peace, Tolle explains that while people often chase happiness and avoid unhappiness, true peace lies beyond these dualities. He emphasizes that happiness and unhappiness are fleeting emotional states tied to external circumstances, while true inner peace is a constant state of presence that remains undisturbed by life's ups and downs. Key points from Chapter 9. 1. The problem with seeking happiness. Tolle explains that seeking happiness through external situations, achievements, or relationships leads to inevitable disappointment because life circumstances constantly change. By seeking happiness externally, we place ourselves on an emotional roller coaster where fulfillment is temporary and conditional. 2. Transcending the mind's duality. True peace, Tolle argues, comes from transcending the mind's tendency to label experiences as good or bad, which creates a cycle of attachment and aversion. Instead of being controlled by these judgments, we can accept each moment as it is, moving beyond emotional reactivity to find a deeper sense of inner stability. 3. Accepting what is. Tolle advises that the path to peace is through accepting the present moment fully, without resistance. When we let go of resistance to what is happening, we create an internal state of openness. This acceptance dissolves the mind's need to categorize experiences, leading to an enduring state of peace. 4. Finding peace through presence. Tolle encourages readers to find peace by anchoring themselves in the now, regardless of external circumstances. By bringing awareness to each moment, we connect with an inner stillness that is not affected by life's ebbs and flows. This peace is not based on conditions but on an unshakable sense of being. 5. The joy of being. Tolle describes a deeper form of joy that comes not from specific life situations but from simply being alive and aware in the present moment. This joy of being is a state of contentment and peace that goes beyond traditional notions of happiness, rooted in the awareness of life itself. Chapter 10. In the final chapter, titled The Meaning of Surrender, Tolle explores the concept of surrender as a state of accepting the present moment fully and unconditionally. He explains that surrender is not about passivity or giving up but rather about aligning ourselves with reality and letting go of internal resistance. This allows us to live in harmony with life as it unfolds. Key points from Chapter 10. 1. What surrender is and isn't. Tolle clarifies that surrender does not mean resigning ourselves to situations or allowing injustice to continue. Instead, it means accepting the present moment as it is without mentally resisting or judging it. This acceptance brings inner peace, as we are no longer in conflict with what life brings. 2. Inner and outer surrender. Tolle describes two forms of surrender, inner and outer. Inner surrender involves accepting each moment without resistance, creating peace regardless of external conditions. Outer surrender involves taking practical steps in the face of challenges while remaining at peace internally. Tolle notes that true surrender requires both, acting where necessary but not letting our sense of peace be disturbed by outcomes. 3. Transforming suffering through surrender. Surrender, Tolle explains, transforms suffering by allowing us to move beyond our thoughts and emotions. When we fully accept a challenging situation, the emotional burden of resistance is lifted, allowing peace to emerge even in difficulty. This surrender helps us see situations with clarity and respond from a place of calm awareness. 4. Aligning with life's flow. Surrendering to the present moment aligns us with the natural flow of life. Tolle suggests that by letting go of resistance, we work with life's natural rhythms rather than against them. This alignment creates an ease in life, allowing us to approach each moment from a place of calmness and openness. 5. Letting go of needing control. Tolle emphasizes that the need to control every outcome is a product of the ego, which constantly tries to impose its own will on reality. Surrendering to the now is a way of releasing this need for control, allowing life to unfold as it will. Tolle assures readers that surrender does not mean powerlessness but rather an empowering acceptance that brings inner freedom. Conclusion. In the final of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle hits us with one life-altering truth: real peace and true happiness aren't some far-off dream. They're right here, hidden in the one place we forget to look, the present moment. Tolle's message isn't about achieving mystical enlightenment or going off to meditate on a mountaintop, it's about the everyday magic of presence, which each of us can access right now. Most of us live controlled by the mind, endlessly looping through thoughts, doubts, worries. But Tolle reveals that enlightenment is really about breaking free from that mind chatter. Every moment offers us a choice, to stay stuck in the ego's grip or step into the now and experience a profound sense of peace. Key takeaways. 1. Enlightenment is for everyone. Tolle flips the script on enlightenment. It's not reserved for spiritual gurus, it's for anyone willing to stop, breathe, and pay attention. Whether you are in traffic, having a tough conversation, or even doing the dishes, every moment is a chance to let go of the mind and awaken to the present. 2. From seeking to being. We are all chasing happiness and peace, but by seeking them outside of ourselves, we miss the point. Tolle shows that by surrendering to the now, we find a calm, unshakable foundation that isn't rocked by life's ups and downs. It's a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances but comes from within. 3. A new way to live and relate. Living in presence doesn't just change us, it transforms our relationships, our decisions, and our outlook on life. When we are grounded in the now, we respond to others with more patience, see situations with more clarity, and face challenges without being overwhelmed. This creates not just inner peace but a ripple effect on everyone and everything around us. Tolle's final message is simple yet powerful: everything we've been searching for, peace, love, and purpose, is already here when we become fully present. This journey into the now isn't just about personal freedom, it's a path to a more connected, compassionate world. So if there's one takeaway, it's that the power to transform is right here, right now. Every time we let go of mental clutter and open ourselves to the present, we unlock inner peace and a deeper connection to life. And when we embrace the now, we are not just changing our own lives, we are part of a shift toward a world that's more awake, more kind, and more alive. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the power of now. I hope this summary has inspired you to explore Eckhart Tolle's teachings and embrace the profound simplicity of being present. Remember, true peace and fulfillment are always available in the now, it's just a matter of tuning in. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more book summaries and insights on personal growth. And I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on living in the present moment? How do you practice presence in your daily life? Share your experiences in the comments below. Until next time, stay present, stay mindful, and keep seeking that inner peace. See you in the next video.